every piece of evidence says that they're not going to budge. Paul essentially said they're not going to budge. New Year's Day is a day for college football. The ratings have always shown, fellas, that even if you play it just 24 hours before, what's the big deal? It's just 24 hours. If you play it on New Year's Eve, most of America is going to choose, not that people are going out this year, I don't think Times Square is going to be packed. Most people will choose getting together with a small group of people on New Year's Eve and saying, you know what, I'll just watch the championship game on the 11th. I don't need to watch the playoff. New Year's Eve is once a year. I'm going to celebrate, especially this year with everything that's going on. So holding it on January 1 is absolutely, positively firm. Should it be that way? And why not expand the playoff?
Listen,
for like 1 year,
I feel like I'm like this Groundhog Day, and I'm repeating myself. You know, every time we talk about this, this was the year to do it. Because this is the year you can say, listen, we're going to fly the weather kite. We're going to see how this works, and we're going to get all the markets. Just imagine how many markets you can have still involved and still interested and invested in what their teams are doing. We had an opportunity to maybe have a Cinderella team. Could BYU be a Cinderella team? Could Cincinnati be a Cinderella team? You finally get the answer, get it on the court, and then this is something that you can start to worry about or think about going forward. Like, man, it worked out. Look at the ratings. And now you have the weather kite up there, and now you've done this experiment, and they're saying going forward, this is something that we may want to implement because look at the revenue that we're able to generate because we had multiple, media, outlets and markets still involved and still engaged in football late in the season. So I don't understand it.
Zubin, you know why I love my iPhone?
Tell me.
Because the iOS gets updated all the time. There's always a new system. I'm like, wow, that looks smoother. Oh, that seems like an easy transition. Yeah. I do not understand why the best time to update the iOS for the NCAA or for CFB, college football, CFP, the playoffs, why wouldn't you do that? I had the same qualm with the NBA, with the playoffs. Like, just seed the best teams 1 through 16. Yeah. If there's a year to do it, you have an asterisk next to this year. Well, the caveat is we were going through a pandemic. We had to make the best possible scenario work out. We want to do it for television ratings. Why not the same for college football playoffs? Why not the same for the bowl games? And yes, you should move it back. I know you want to hold firm on that date, but I don't think people are going out like that a lot now anyway. So if you move it down a little bit or move it back even if a week or two, you know what you do, Zubin? You give yourself wiggle room in case something happens in a year where we've learned to expect the unexpected. Right? Through week 11 of the CFB season, 48 of 406 games involving FBS teams on the schedule, that's 12%, have been either postponed or canceled. It's a pretty big sample size. You should probably prepare for something like that to happen, knowing that you knew it was going to happen because you have built-in bye weeks. Yeah. Right? That's what certain leagues did, unless you're the Big Ten or the Pac-12 that got started late. Why not do the same with the college football playoffs? It just makes sense. But you know what? I've learned not to expect these conferences or the NCAA to make sense anymore. I think that's the new norm for me, from somebody who's been in this industry for 13 years now.
But the thing we know that they respond to is the money. This is an opportunity to generate more money because now these games mean something more, and people love championships. I mean, I'm watching MAC football yesterday. People love football. And the most passionate fan base is usually the college fans. They'll watch anything with their team on, especially if it means something. So I don't understand why they can't just pivot, why they can't be flexible, why can't they be fluid with this thing and figure it out on the run? I mean, they're supposed to be smart people, right? Why can't you just say, let's utilize these bowl games, let's make those the qualifiers. We don't have to change our system for the Final Four, but the way we get to the Final Four is the way we can make up some of these games in which we miss because Ohio State's going to miss games. Wisconsin hasn't won any games. This is a way to get the representation, get the best players and the best teams out there. How are you going to evaluate Ohio State with three games played? Right? The eye test? Is it the eye test or is it the fan base and the media and the TV market that comes with them? So now you're saying fans, it's supposed to be fair and BYU may have a legitimate gripe. Cincinnati may have a legitimate gripe. But then you're telling them that they did everything right, but they still don't qualify when Ohio State hasn't proven it, but you're going off of what they used to be or what they represent, not what they are and what they are this year.
So speaking of Ohio State, and I think one of Paul's best comments is he said, I would be shocked if the Big Ten didn't find a way to have Ohio State in the championship game.
Right.
In the Big Ten championship. So hypothetically, Ohio State misses this week's game against Maryland. Indiana plays. Indiana goes to 4-0. Let's say something happens with Indiana next week. Ohio State then misses 2 games, Indiana's still up 4-0, and Indiana could end up winning that division. That's why I would also say with the pandemic should have just told all these conferences, this is the year we're not doing divisions. Like the ACC did. There's no division in the ACC. We want the best 2 teams to represent our conference in the conference championship. Right. I feel like the Big Ten missed the ball drastically on this one as well.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.